Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into Agatha Christie's classic psychological thriller, Appointment with Death. And this is a story where the mystery isn't just who did it, but why almost anyone would have wanted to. Okay, so let's get right into it. Our story kicks off not with a victim you feel sorry for, but with an absolute monster. Meet Mrs. Boynton. She's a woman whose cruelty is basically the engine for this entire plot. She was a sadist who just fed on the control she had over other people, and it's that very love of power that's going to seal her fate. You know, to really understand this crime, we first have to understand the crime scene. And I don't just mean a place in the desert. I mean the psychological prison that was built, brick by brick, over many, many years. Yeah, to call Mrs. Boynton a difficult mother would be the understatement of the century. She literally used to be a prison guard, and she basically took that experience and applied it to her own family. She controlled their money, their relationships, their every single move. They were prisoners, plain and simple, just in a very, very gilded cage. And this right here, this is where you see it. This slide lays out a perfect motive for every single member of the immediate family. You've got Lennox, who's trapped in his own marriage. Raymond, who can't experience love. Carol is just desperate for any kind of life at all. And then there's Ginevra, who's so traumatized she's retreated into this complete fantasy world just to cope. They all have a very powerful reason to want their jailer gone. The atmosphere in this family is so completely poisoned that our detective, the great Hercule Poirot, who just happens to be staying at the same hotel in Jerusalem, overhears this really chilling conversation. It's Raymond and Carol, and they're openly discussing the fact that the only way for them to ever be free is to kill their mother. I mean, the thought is already in the air. And that brings us, of course, to the scene of the crime. The whole family travels to the stunning, incredibly remote city of Petra. And it's here, surrounded by all this ancient stone, that this very modern drama reaches its bloody conclusion. So, after one more classic display of her power, Mrs. Boynton just dismisses her family. She tells them to go on a walk and leave her be. And she sits there all alone in a camp chair under these red cliffs like some isolated queen on her desert throne. And of course, this decision provides the absolute perfect opportunity for someone to approach her completely unseen. All right, so this is the real heart of the puzzle. When the family gets back, they find her dead. A young doctor who's with the group, Sarah King, she takes a look and puts the time of death around 4:30. But later, her son Raymond swears he saw and spoke to her alive and well at 6 p.m. It's a total contradiction. It makes absolutely no sense. So that's the big question, right? How can one person be dead and alive at the same time? The local authorities, well, they see an elderly, sick woman who died in the heat, and they're pretty much ready to call it natural causes. But that impossible timeline, that's what convinces Hercule Poirot that something is deeply, deeply wrong here. He suspects murder. So Poirot starts to dig in, but what he finds isn't some nice, straightforward case. Oh no, it's a tangled web of secrets and lies, and it's all being woven by the Boynton family themselves. A closer look finally reveals the truth. First, there's this tiny little puncture mark on Mrs. Boynton's wrist. The cause of death is then confirmed. It was an overdose of digitoxin, a really powerful heart medication. And what's more, a hypodermic syringe and that very same drug have vanished from the medical kit of another traveler, a Dr. Gerard. It is undeniable now. This was murder. And this right here, this brilliantly illustrates Poirot's problem. The family is so scared and suspicious of each other that they all start acting in the guiltiest ways imaginable. Raymond lies about the time of death because he thinks his sister Carol did it. Carol, thinking he did it, steals a syringe from her and throws it away. Even Lennox confesses that he planned to kill her, but he says someone just beat him to it. They're all obstructing justice to protect one another. So Poirot is completely stuck. He's facing this paradox. The people with the strongest motives who are all acting incredibly guilty might actually be innocent. If they were all just covering for each other, then who was the real killer they were all accidentally protecting? And this brings us to the solution. Poirot realizes he's been looking in completely the wrong place. The answer isn't buried inside the family's twisted dynamic. It's with someone on the outside. Someone who's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Poirot starts thinking about psychology. A sadist like Mrs. Boynton, she wouldn't just sit quietly for hours, would she? No way. she would have found a new victim to torment. And that afternoon, she did. Her family's frantic attempts to cover for each other just created the perfect smokescreen for the real murderer. The killer was the one person nobody looked at twice, Lady Westholme, an ambitious, highly respected member of Parliament, a pillar of the community, and a cold-blooded killer. So how did she do it? Well, the motive was pure blackmail. Years ago, it turns out Lady Westholme was an inmate in a prison where Mrs. Boynton worked as a guard, and Mrs. Boynton recognized her. The threat of that getting out would have ended her career. So she saw her chance when Dr. Gerard was sick with malaria, stole his syringe and medicine, and then, disguised as a local servant, she walked right up to Mrs. Boynton and delivered the fatal dose. With Lady Westholme exposed and completely cornered, she ends up taking her own life to escape public justice. The reign of Mrs. Boynton is finally, truly over. And for the Boynton children, the end of their mother's life marks the beginning of their own. The transformation is just immediate and total. Once they're freed from their tormentor, they just blossom. Raymond marries the doctor, Sarah King. Lennox and his wife Nadine fix their relationship. Carol finds love, and Ginevra, whose fantasies were just a shield, she channels all that imagination into becoming a brilliant actress. The death of one person allows 5 other people to finally start living. And that's what you should really take away from this. Sure, it's a murder mystery, but its real theme is liberation. You know, in the end, Mrs. Boynton's own cruel boast became her death sentence. Her power was rooted in her memory, in her ability to hold the past over people's heads. But the moment she tried to use that power on one last victim,